With us now, NewsNation political contributor and Republican strategist, Denise Gitsham. She also served as an aide to President George W. Bush and lives in California. Your thoughts on the polling on this one right now going into tomorrow?
There's no doubt Governor Newsom is going to get what he wants in this election. The Republicans just aren't popular in California, and most Republicans that I know have moved out. I'm one of the suckers who stays behind because I happen to love my state, but I know what I'm choosing to trade off in exchange for staying here, and that's a decision that I choose to make. Most people aren't willing to make those decisions because their roots aren't as deep here in the Golden State.
How do you see this impacting midterm elections next year if, in fact, Prop 50 gets the green light, which it seems as though it will?
Well, one thing Democrats haven't accounted for, and maybe they have and they just don't really care because they just want to show that they're fighting President Trump, is the fact that there are 28 Republican-controlled legislatures in America and only 18 democratically led legislatures. And so if they're really going to go tit for tat on, California versus Texas versus Missouri versus all the other red and blue lineups, they're going to lose. Democrats are ultimately going to lose because they just don't have the numbers that they're in control of in terms of how many states they can actually play this game in. And so also, what I think is so interesting is Governor Newsom was actually the one that said, we're doing this in reaction to Texas. We can't stand back and watch democracy erode district by district. So basically, I'm trying to find the logic in exactly what he's doing because he's doing exactly what he's accusing Abbott of doing. And if two wrongs somehow make a stronger democracy, show me the logic behind that. So, I think that they have a logic problem. I think they have a numbers problem, more importantly, which is what politics always comes down to, is who's ultimately going to prevail. This is going to be a losing move for Democrats, and we're going to watch this play out, especially at the Supreme Court level. Listen, Supreme Court has early said that you can't use race as the only determining factor in whether or not you redistrict. And that's exactly the foundation of what California is doing here with Prop 50. And so we'll just see if that withstands, SCOTUS's scrutiny.
Yeah, this has also, Denise, as you know, become a fight between Governor Newsom and pitting him against President Trump. Do you believe that Prop 50 was by design?
Absolutely. Listen, this is like the first show that Democrats can have of maybe some kind of win. They are at record, historic, abysmal low approval ratings. There's nothing they can do about the intra-party fighting they have between their socialist wing and their more moderate wing. They have no leader, and Governor Newsom is taking advantage of this opportunity to step into that leadership position, which is a smart move. However, it's being done at taxpayer expense. This Prop 50 move is costing California taxpayers who are already dealing with a net 35, negative from a 14 billion surplus in California to negative 20 deficit in our state. He's now adding to that by running this campaign to help prop himself up to be that leader for the Democrats, which they desperately need. So, everything he does is about himself. That's one thing we've learned as Californians, that Governor Newsom is about him at the end of the day, and he's willing to spend as much of our taxpayer dollars as he wants to and drive as many Californians out of this state to continue campaigning for himself, even though just last night, after a week before saying he planned to run for president, he again went back on his word and said, I don't really want to run for president. So we don't know when the real Governor Newsom will stand up and declare who he actually is. I certainly don't trust anything he says.
Well, what he has said is this is a moment to stand up to Trump. Denise, always a pleasure. Thanks for your thoughts.